Hello there, my friends. Welcome to Star Wars Transmissions, Andor Episode 4 Breakdown. My homegirl Danny joining me tonight. How's it going, Danny girl?
Hi, how are you?
Whew. Today was a day, but Andor lifted my spirits high. Holy crap. What an episode.
It was really exciting and intense, exhilarating, and so many fun things were dropped today.
Oh my God. This was like one of my probably favorite drama packed moments in Star Wars content in a 50-minute period. I felt like the storytelling and the depiction of the drama was done so well. But on top of that, getting the Easter eggs and these nuggets of lore that for psychopaths and weirdos like me made watching this episode so much fun.
I know, I feel like half of that episode was just that meme of Leonardo DiCaprio on the couch that he's like pointing and
holding the beer, pointing.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Like, ooh, look at that. Look at that.
That was me. Yeah.
Yep.
Zane Mob, welcome to the chat, my friend. Don't you worry. We will be talking about Star Killer and the awesomeness of the Sith armor that we got in the episode. So
So you're dropping stuff before you say the spoiler warning.
Very true. Very true.
Dun. Shame.
This is your spoiler warning. If you, for whatever reason, if you have yet to watch episode 4 of Andor, get those booty cheeks out of here, because we're going to be breaking down the episode, talking about the nuggets and Easter eggs that I caught and that Danny girl caught. So get the hell out of here. Go watch the episode, then come back and join us. The episode begins right where we left off last week with Luthen and Andor, Cassian, on Luthen's ship, which we learn is some sort of Fondor hauler, I believe is what he called it, or a Fondor ship, which again is another sweet Easter egg for us nerds that have played Battlefront 2. Fondor is a big ship building planet. There's orbital shipyards on Fondor, and in Battlefront 2, part of the Emperor's contingency Fondor winds up getting destroyed. So I thought that was as soon as I heard Fondor, I was like, oh, hell yes.
That's awesome. I also loved how souped up his ship is, which Cassian, you could tell, was like, I haven't seen a ship like this.
Yeah, like you see it jumps to hyperspace super quickly, and like it seemed like the droid that's built into the ship is able to really get the ship to jump to hyperspace much quicker than we've seen previous ships in Star Wars be able to do so. So it seems like the ship has some sort of like super smart, beefed up droid that's able to get his ship moving super quickly.
I mean, I know it's not like the focus of anything, but I would love to find out a little bit more details about his ship, because let's be real, he's also he definitely has some secrets hidden on this ship, which we see a little later too.
Which I love. I mean, this is one of the things that has made me so excited about this show, even before it premiered, was the spy thriller espionage story that we were going to get. And so far it is 100% living up to that. And Luthen, he's got some secrets. He's got a background that we're not fully aware of yet. We don't know what his deal is. And yeah, his ship alone is souped up. It is decked out. It's got a little like place for his costumes or his wardrobe, we'll say, right? So yeah, his ship is definitely baller status.
Oh yeah. I mean, what isn't a baller status when you have a hot towel dispenser?
Oh my God, when he put that hot towel on his face, it's like, damn, I can go for one of those right now.
The life, right?
So Luthen is basically, at this point, he's trying to convince Cassian to join his cause. He's telling him, hey, listen, I came to Ferrix not for this Starpath unit. I came to Ferrix for you. And I know about your past. I know that you served in the military, that you fought in Minban, even though Cassian tries to play it up like he was in the shit.
Yeah.
Luthen's like, sorry, bro, you were a cook, but still, nevertheless, I want you to join the cause because your skills. I know what you're capable of, and I want you to help. I know you want to stick it to the Empire. Maybe you're not ready to just jump feet first into the fight. So I'll pay you 200,000 credits to join the cause, to hopefully complete a mission that I have been working on and been planning.
I just loved how in this scene, like, Cassian thought he was so freaking slick, and Luthen was like, nah, brah.
I know all about you, bro.
I have been doing my research because I mean business.
Which I think that just goes to show you the type of individual that Luthen is, right?
Mm-hmm.
He is probably, I don't want to say masterful at what he does, but he's obviously very, very skilled. He knows what he's doing. He knows he has to do his homework with stuff. He's definitely a skilled individual, and I'm very excited to learn more about him and learn more about his past.
Oh, 1,000%. Even with what we see later on in the episode, like he's a very complex character.
Yes, absolutely. And I love then we jump to frickin' Coruscant and the ISB, Imperial Security Bureau, which is essentially like the Empire's version of the FBI. And we get this scene where we're learning about the inner workings of the ISB. The ISB, we've seen ISB before in Rebels. Were they in Clone Wars? I don't think we saw them at the end of season 7.
I recall. I was actually going to say Rebels.
Yeah, they're definitely in Rebels, but this is the first time that we're seeing them in live action, as far as I can recall. And it's dope to get to see how they work, and we get to meet our homeboy Qyburn from Game of Thrones. So many Game of Thrones actors in this series, I'm loving it. But this is Major Partagaz, played by our homeboy Anton Lesser, who again I'm going to refer to from here on out as Qyburn from Game of Thrones.
Just some habits are hard to break.
I love that as he asked the question, what's the purpose of the ISB? And you hear this character here, Dedra Meero, played by Denise Go. She gives the mission statement basically of the ISB, like, hey, we're supposed to provide security for the galaxy and we're supposed to do all this stuff. He's like, nah, brah. We are here to eliminate disease in this system of our empire. That's all we're supposed to do, eliminate disease within and without the empire, which is dope. And I love that you're seeing that the empire is ruthless. There is so much ego and pride amongst those within their own ranks that they do not work together cohesively.
Which we knew, but it was kind of fun to see it as like office, like the, I don't know, not office schematics, but like the interpersonal workings of an office. Like, oh yeah, I hate that person too. Just crack me up.
The day-to-day musings of these ISB employees. Like, oh man, can you believe Sal in level 4? What a jackass.
Yeah, and just go to show you, it's not just those that are out in the field or hating on one another, trying to get people to fall over themselves.
Yeah, and it
internal too.
It's just so great to see that. And this is part of why the rebellion years in the future from when the story takes place eventually is able to topple the empire. That the empire, the people within it can't work together cohesively at times, which goes against what the Jedi do and what we've seen from the Republic in the prequels. And I'm going to shout out Star Wars Explained. We were watching his review of the episode and he pointed that out. And it's so true. Just seeing the inner workings of the Empire, and you see that there is so much ego, there's so much pride, there's so much cutthroatness that happens that winds up working against the Empire. And you see here this character, Dedra Meero. She is probably, you heard multiple times, she's kind of a careerist. She's looking to move up the ladder in ISB, and she's trying to figure out ways to do so. And she's going to probably work to undermine the individual Lieutenant Gorn, who we see her butt heads with throughout the episode. So pumped that we got to have Qyburn. I just want to say, in this series, I'm rewatching Game of Thrones, and I'm on season 7 right now. So the moment I saw Qyburn in the trailer, I was like, oh, hell yes, Qyburn's going to be in this. So here's Lieutenant Gorn, and this is after their little meeting where Major Partagaz is getting in everyone's buns. And this is where we're getting to see that internal strife here between these two individuals. Dedra, she finds out that on Ferrix, which we saw in the previous 3 episodes, when Cassian went to sell the Starpath unit to Luthen, he stole that Starpath unit from an Imperial naval, I think it was an Imperial naval base on the planet Skirsgard. Skirsgard seems to be under her jurisdiction, so that she tells her underling, hey, that'll give us the opportunity to be able to get in on this investigation that's happening. And Lieutenant Gorn's like, nah, brah, back it up, homegirl. And getting to see that strife is very interesting and very cool to see. Just to go back really quickly, during this scene where Major Partagaz is getting in everyone's buns, just some of the little tidbits of info that we get dropped. They mention Ryloth and the issues that are happening on Ryloth, and we know from Lords of the Sith novel, from Rebels, what other stuff? There's probably other stuff that I'm failing to remember right now, but after the Republic turned into the Empire, and the Empire basically just had a grip on Ryloth, they struggled to maintain order on Ryloth. The Free Ryloth movement kept battling the Empire for their freedom, and it's cool to see that years later, after 19 BBY is when Order 66 happens, years later, there is still that strife that we know is happening, and we're hearing about it here, which I thought was really cool to get that Easter egg. They also mention Arvala 6, which I had pointed this out to you.
Yes, you did.
Arvala 7 is the planet that we see Din go to in season 1 of The Mandalorian, where our homeboy Quill lives. And that's where Din finds Grogu. So it's in that system, Arvala 6, which I thought was really cool. Did you happen to catch the mention of Scarif?
I did catch the mention of Scarif, and it was definitely a ooh.
Yeah.
And all the construction materials that are going to Scarif right now.
So interesting, an increase in construction on Scarif. I wonder why that is.
Odd. Real odd.
So dope. So just there were so many little nuggets of Easter eggs and information that are dropped in this episode that are dope. And this scene alone has multiple that was freaking awesome.
It was like 3 sentences, and it was like every sentence, oh.
Ooh. Ah, oh. And so now going back to Dedra Meero, she wants in on what's going on. And Lieutenant Gorn, this dude right here, wants no part of it. He's telling her, no, not going to happen. She winds up going to Major Partagaz, and he sides with Lieutenant Gorn and is telling her, pretty much stay in your lane. You have skills that we coveted. But at this point, Lieutenant Gorn, I think he supervises... Is it 6. Something like 6? Yeah, 6 systems, and she has 2. He's basically telling her, pump the brakes. You'll eventually get there, but you just gotta be patient, more or less.
I mean, she has only been there for like a year.
Is that what they said, a year?
It was.
Did he mention where they plucked her from?
They did.
I'm trying.
But
I would imagine it's probably the Navy or something.
don't
That would be
remember.
my guess. But yeah, again, just seeing ISB, seeing Coruscant again was dope. So these scenes were really cool.
Coruscant was beautiful. That shot with the title card.
Oh, it's absolutely gorgeous. And then we get these schmucks.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
Because essentially why we're seeing all these scenes with ISB is because of the moron on the right, Cyril Karn. I can't remember the dude's name in the middle, but that's Jan Royce from Game of Thrones. And then Sergeant Linus Mosk, I believe is his name, basically getting their hand slapped because they botched it so bad on Ferrix that now the Empire has to come in and they're taking over Ferrix. They're now going to be responsible for the security of Ferrix because Primor botched it so badly.
I loved how the ISB agent was like, yeah, I've seen a lot of really weird, like really messed up things happen, but man, you guys totally take the cake. Like you messed this up so bad. It was just like, oh, how poor Cyril's fallen.
And we talked about that last week, how they pranced into Ferrix as if they were going to go in and just mess things up, and they got their asses handed to them.
Oh, they did.
And you could see on Cyril's face, he knew, like, oh my God, I messed up big time. And we're seeing that here. He's getting in trouble. And that results in him having to be shipped back to mommy on Coruscant. She slaps him in the face and then hugs him.
I literally laughed out loud when she slapped him. Not that violence is a good thing, but man, that was really fun.
So
I can't wait to see what kind of terror this mother is for poor Cyril.
Yes.
I can't believe I just called Cyril poor.
Well,
like sad Cyril.
He heads back to Coruscant, where we know the headquarters of ISB is. We know we talked about this last episode. He's kind of like a guy, chaotic, not chaotic neutral. That's not, I forget that. He's not a villain in the sense of like Darth Vader, but he's a villain thinking that he's doing good. And I imagine we're going to see him eventually crossing paths with ISB, joining them or being brought into the fold to help uncover these rebellious plots somehow, and he's going to wind up turning more zealous, would be my thought.
If he does, though, I don't think it's not going to be in any kind of like official capacity.
No.
I feel like because he has fallen really far at this point, whether they're reassigning him or just fired him and he has to go back home. I'm kind of curious to see what kind of maybe drowns his sorrows before.
My thought is homegirl Dedra she's not going to listen to Major Partagaz, and she's going to keep looking into any leads that she can regarding Ferrix and the Starpath unit, which is going to bring her to Cyril Karn. Cyril, either she's going to tell him, you have to help me, or he's going to offer up his services to her. That's my guess, is that she's going to wind up basically pulling him back into the fray.
Yeah, probably to do it underhanded, just so she can get more information, because clearly her end goal is to climb.
Yes.
And if she can help Cyril out, maybe be like, oh, I can get you back in the good graces or get you some other kind of help, he's going to jump at that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's how he's going to wind up getting pulled back in.
How is she going to get her hands on that information, though? What is she going to do?
She's probably going to steal some files, steal some information or access some information that she shouldn't be. But knowing that the Empire rewards that sort of behavior when you do good, or you do well, I should say,
they're willing to overlook it.
Yes. I would imagine this is going to, at least to some way, get her, maybe not a promotion, but is going to get her in the good graces of Partagaz, however you pronounce his name. That's my thought.
You're on the right track.
So now moving on, we head to Aldhani, which, what a beautiful freaking, I wonder where they shot these scenes, because Jesus Christ, I kept thinking when we were seeing this planet, wow, this is gorgeous.
Kind of reminded me of Octo a little bit.
Yes. Well, you know what it also reminded me of, which I don't think is a coincidence, the scenes in Rogue One, the opening scenes in Rogue One, when we see, the hell is the Imperial officer's name? Go to Galen Merrick, Orson Krennic. Go to whatever planet Galen Erso is on. But beautiful, beautiful freaking shots here.
No, I might have to look this up afterwards. I feel like it's got to be like Scotland.
That was my thought. Is it might be like some Ireland, Scotland, somewhere in the UK, but gorgeous. And another, like, oh my God, the nerd in me was freaking out at this moment. We get to Aldhani, and Luthen is telling him, "Hey, listen, I'm basically dropping you off here. I'm leaving you with this person. She's probably going to be pissed. I'm giving you a down payment. This item that he's holding is worth at least, don't take less than 50,000 credits, I believe he tells him." And what he tells Cassian is that he's giving him a Kuwati signet embedded with a blue kyber crystal. And apparently this item commemorates the uprising against the Rakatan invaders. My jaw was on the floor at this moment, because number one, this makes Rakata and the Rakatans officially freaking canon, which is so dope. Also, the fact that he's got like a kyber crystal, which kind of lends credence to some of the theories that could this dude be a Jedi, which we'll talk more about. Just going to throw that out there for a second.
I love how you're like sitting on the edge of your seat. Like, well, dude, you are so stoked. And
this was so freaking awesome.
I mean, I was like half that stoked about the kyber crystal. I didn't even know about the Rakatan invasion.
Well,
sorry, uprising.
For us super nerds.
I'm just partial nerd.
The Rakatans in Legends, because they're big in Legends. They've appeared in the Dawn of the Jedi, which takes place thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years before the prequels. Basically, the birth of the Jedi, the Jedi Order, as it's called at that point, winds up fighting the Rakatan Empire, which are these species of, I can't remember if they're force sensitive. I think they are. I think they're force sensitive. It's been a little bit since I read Dawn of the Jedi and some of the other stuff that they're in, but I think they might be force sensitive, but maybe not. But basically they're going across the galaxy and just conquering worlds and subjugating them. So they're evil. And they, like I said, they've been in Dawn of the Jedi. They've been in Knights of the Republic. So you'll typically, when you hear the Rakata being referred to, people like to talk about Revan, because Knights of the Old Republic takes place. That game follows Revan, so they're in that. They are in Star Wars: The Old Republic. Stage use, thank you. They're dark side users. I thought they were force users. Thank you very much. So getting Rakatans and the planet of Rakata brought into canon was like, oh hell yes, I am so freaking pumped about this.
You're telling me some of these cool aspects of Legends are coming in, so maybe people can just
pump the goddamn brakes. Yeah.
Love y'all, but man, we just got just more. I'm gonna sound like a stoner for a second, and I'm not. Peace and love, man. Just we need some more.
So yeah, this love. When we got this scene, I was like on the edge of my seat, so freaking pumped. It was dope.
Even like hours later, when you came in and told me about the Rakatans, you were like,
"Oh, dude,
hopping from foot to foot."
So I'd watched the episode before Danielle did. I interrupted her and made her pause it so I could
and rewind,
so I could point this out to her, because I was so freaking excited. So now we meet our homegirl Vel, also known as the Waif from Game of Thrones, another Game of Thrones character.
Love it.
Played by Faye Marseille.
Also, I love how she has a staff.
Yes.
I didn't even notice that before I put
Yes.
2 and 2 together.
Which again, these two seem buddy-buddy, or maybe not buddy-buddy is the right word. They've got a past and a history with each other. I'm starting to see that some of those theories about Luthen being a Jedi, or maybe has some knowledge of the Jedi, could be old water. I'm just going to throw that out there, man.
Even if he's not, maybe, I mean, I'm not saying he has any ancient Jedi texts, but so far he could be one who has come across them.
Yeah.
Considering what we see later on in the episode.
Absolutely. Dude, this scene I loved because Stellan Skarsgård is a phenomenal actor, and I thought his acting chops here were spectacular. Throughout this entire episode, his acting was phenomenal, and especially in this scene because he's telling Vel that, hey, I got this dude. He's going to help you. He has a ton of really useful skills. You are undermanned. You don't have enough people for your crew to get this job done. I'm giving him to you. I'm paying him. He will help you get the job done. And she wants no part of it. And he's explaining it to her. And then on a dime, he just starts like screaming at her or yelling at her and then gets right back to talking calmly. His acting in this episode was phenomenal.
I mean, you can tell, like, he can change his attitude or his tone in a fraction of a second. It's incredible. What's the right word? I don't want to.
The range.
Thank you. I was going to say the vast. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. The range that he has.
Yeah, he is a spectacular actor. Eventually, Vel caves and says, fine, let's go. We're going to take you and meet the crew. And yeah, Luthen says, pick a name. Cassian says, Clem. Okay, that's your name for the next several days. As Vel and our homeboy Cassian, aka Clem, are making the journey to where the crew are hanging out, she tells them what the job actually is. And he's like, what? Because Luthen told him, hey, you're going to break into this Imperial garrison and you're going to steal some
payroll
documents. Which, nope, that is not the job. Yeah, they're going to get some payroll information, but it sounds like they are stealing a ton of stuff. Armaments, I'm assuming. Weapons, possibly credits.
I did watch this again, and it did sound like, I'm still going with it might just be payroll, but it sounds like it's just a heavily guarded. I don't know. I might go watch it again.
It wasn't specifically clear, but my thought was they're stealing more than just payroll documents, which would make sense because, yeah, the payroll information is useful. I guess they could use that to potentially like steal that money to use to fund the rebellion, the burgeoning rebellion, because we learn later on in the episode that the rebellion at this point, the early stages of the rebellion has some funding issues. So that could absolutely be it. But I thought that maybe there might be more that they're going to be stealing.
I feel like there probably is. Maybe the job is to go in and get the payroll stuff, but with how we see that it's built into the cave system, like I feel like there's got to be more. There's more stuff that might be hidden in there than maybe we first see. But I mean, you also have to think all these payroll documents. Okay, now you know exactly who is on the payroll. So now they can go and exploit these people.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great point.
Or know who to look out for.
Absolutely. Potentially get moles. Yeah, that's a great point that I had not think of, especially when we consider this is supposed to be a spy thriller. That's an excellent point that I hadn't thought of.
Yeah, brah.
So one thing one thing I just want to point out here. Again, I love the scenery in this in these scenes. Aldhani looks beautiful, and I love the moment when the ties come.
Oh, yeah.
And just hear the sound editing is so good. Just hearing those freaking twin ion engines, man. Oh, so dope.
Heard him in the distance, and it's like, ooh, something. Things are not
So
looking
great.
good.
So great. Then we meet our boy Tamarin, the guy that people lost their minds about because of his AK-47. And he's not the only one that has an AK. There's multiple people that have AKs. And we talked about this in our breakdown of the trailer. In Star Wars, actual guns are a thing. Slug throwers, they're called, are an actual thing. oh God, Moff Tarkin hunts Vader for sport. Vader, for a challenge, tells Tarkin, hey, I want you to hunt me. I need a challenge. I haven't had a challenge in years. And Tarkin hunts him and brings slug throwers because when a lightsaber, if you go to deflect a bullet, it's going to melt into molten metal and it's not going to be able to be deflected. So it's a great weapon to use against someone with a lightsaber.
I think, like, I feel like blasters have got to be expensive, like with the technology that's in it. I don't know. I mean,
maybe.
What do you think would be more expensive, a slug thrower or a blaster?
I think in this world, my thought would be a slug thrower because it's kind of like, I don't know. That would be my thought.
I was going to go blaster.
Because here's my thing. That technology is so widely available where slug throwers aren't, that they're probably more like a niche item, and niche items tend to be more expensive, you know? That would be my thought. But yeah, if you're one of those people that freaked out about an AK being in Star Wars, slug throwers are 100% a thing in the Star Wars universe, and they have been for some time. And so we get to meet this crew that consists of our boy Tamarin. You could see in the back, I believe that's Cinta is her name, and I think Cinta might be like a medic or something. We also get to meet Skeen. Skeen is the guy that woke up the dude that was supposed to be guarding everything, and that dude's sleeping. His name is Nemik.
Oh, poor little Nemik.
So that's the crew. Skeen, Cinta, Nemik, Tamarin, and I believe they have, I don't know if
other guy,
the Imperial, I don't know if he's just a mole or what the deal is, and I totally am like blanking on his name.
I am too.
I can't remember, but he's basically helping them implement this plan. And so there's Skeen in the background. That's Skeen, and this is initially they're not pleased about Vel bringing this new guy into the fold so quick, because their job that they're supposed to be doing, this mission that they're supposed to be doing, is supposed to be happening in just a handful of days from this point. 3 days. And they're like, we don't know this guy. We don't know anything about him. We're doing something extremely dangerous that if we're able to escape, we are going to be wanted in a bad way by the Empire. We don't know this person. We don't know if we could trust them. We don't know if they could be helpful, which totally makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, they think about how long they've probably been prepping for this, and even like looking at the end or watching the end of the episode when they give Cassian like that data pad with the schematics and things as to what he needs to learn. They're like, you better learn this tonight. It is a lot. So the fact that they've been learning this for we don't even know how long.
Yeah.
It's a lot. I just want to quickly note before you go to the next screenshot. I love how they made his bruise on his face a little bit more yellow in this shot. I was just noticing. I was like, oh, I like the change from the day before.
I definitely appreciated that. I just want to go back to here, this conversation, because it plays into what you were just mentioning. Luthen is telling Val, yeah, we planned it, but hey, kind of making it seem like Cassian is expendable. Hey, I'm paying him, but if he dies, like, whatever. But again, it sound from his conversation with Val and then what we hear, it sounds like this has been planned for a while. And Luthen tells Val to tell the crew that don't tell them that I made this decision. Tell them that it was you. So do these people even know about Luthen? I'm going to assume not, would be my thought.
I'm going to go with I don't think so.
Right, because it would make sense to have that degree of separation so that if any of these people get caught, they cannot rat out anyone here.
Yeah, and maybe, I don't know, whatever their history is, maybe he trusts Vel enough.
Which I'm trying to remember. Is that a thing in Rebels? I think, didn't they mention something about like they didn't know?
Oh, the Rebel cells were all kind of like alternating or working on their own, and then they used the Fulcrum as like a.
And I think, didn't they even say like they didn't know certain people's names other than Fulcrum, because if anyone was captured, they couldn't share and divulge any information to the Empire.
Mm-hmm.
So we're seeing that happening here, which that's my thought, is they have no clue that Luthen is involved. And we see our boy Nemik's little like model, which I loved. I was like, this is so dope. And I love how he was like, oh, we got to take care of it. The rain might mess up the glue. And
Oh,
so
it's very fragile.
here's where they're explaining the job. They're going to be breaking into this heavily armored garrison. And Vel is explaining that the Empire, 13 years prior, I believe she mentioned, basically found interest in Aldhani and forced all these people to vacate their homes because they were interested in something with the planet, because the caverns, they could store stuff in the caverns. And I told you that. I didn't buy that for a second.
Oh, of course not.
To me, this was, oh my God, this sounds a lot like what we saw in Jedi Fallen Order. What is it? Oh my God, I'm totally drawing a blank on the planet. Zepho? Is it Zepho, I believe? The Empire found this basically ancient civilization of Force users on this planet, made all these people relocate, and started doing everything they could to get as much material and artifacts of this civilization as they possibly could. And in the game, you go into these like caverns under the mountains. So immediately when I heard this, I'm like, oh my God, this sounds very much like Jedi Fallen Order. And it wouldn't shock me if we learn that the Empire had some other interests that brought them to Aldhani, which would be dope.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. And whether it's resources or there is always a nefarious reason as to why they do what they do. They're not going to just relocate all these people for no reason.
Tinfoil hat time.
All right.
Bro, could this be something we might see in Jedi Survivor? The sequel to Fallen Order? Oh my God, that would be so dope. We get to experience Aldhani in freaking Andor, and then in the game you get to go there and you learn, hey, here's why the Empire was so interested in this planet. That would be sick.
That would be pretty cool.
Oh my God. I'm getting so pumped thinking about that. That would be dope.
We could also find out maybe sometime later this season.
That's true. We could also find out this could be me tinfoiling here, and it could be absolutely for nothing.
Tinfoiling.
And they could just be interested in the planet because, yeah, they really were interested in their caverns. But you brought a great point to me. We've seen the Empire go to planets before and not force their entire residents to relocate willy-nilly. They've done it in other stuff. So yeah, I do think that there's a reason behind why the Empire is interested in this planet more so than just their caverns and caves.
They can keep people, even if they're spread out, they can keep people in line. They're gonna or put up checkpoints or whatever. They've done these other places.
Yeah.
So why are you gonna force a majority of your population into one small area unless you have a reason to do so?
Absolutely.
Oh, hello.
And from here, we get more of I love this scene with Luthen. I love seeing him get into character.
Totally transforms.
Oh my God, it was so dope. And just seeing him, like you said earlier, putting that warm towel on his face, that steaming towel on his face to calm himself down and get into character. I love here how you see him smiling, and the next moment you see his face is just deadpan, no emotion whatsoever. Stellan Skarsgård, such a great actor.
Change on a dime.
And again, going back to his starship, it's heavily modified. He's got this compartment with a bunch of rings and jewelry and his wardrobes, and it's only a handful of wardrobes, so it's not like this dude is rich. He has just enough to put up appearances to make it seem like he's this rich artifacts dealer, which I think is dope.
I also just want to say I'm really impressed with the wig. I mean, we've seen a lot of wigs lately because we've been watching House of the Dragon.
And some of them look terrible.
Yes. So I have to say, to go from and to think that this is supposed to be just one that he pulls off his little rack. I'm like, oh man, look at that hairline. Looking good.
Looking good, man. Looking good. And oh my God.
So many great things in this shot.
Scene, holy shit balls.
So just like normal, I have not seen these screenshots until right now. And I was looking through some Twitter. Wow, I sound old as hell. Looking through Twitter before we started, and I did not see a wide shot like this. So this is really freaking cool because I know we wrote down some things that we saw.
Okay, so I'm gonna have you start off reading some of the stuff that you learned about. So what's this horn guy that we see right over here?
Is a Kashyyyk. Oh, where are you pointing?
This guy right here.
Kashyyyk Clarion.
Did you happen to see where it's from? Because I don't even know what that is. Like, have we seen this before and stuff?
I don't think I don't recall. I don't think so.
Okay, so it's some sort of horn that's used. You know what? Shit, was that used in Revenge of the Sith when the Separatist attack?
Probably.
I think that might have been.
Oh, cool.
That's dope because right over here, what do we have there, Danny girl?
Oh, we have a Wookiee helmet from Revenge of the Sith.
Also from Revenge of the Sith. We have this lovely Mandalorian armor right there. Looks very similar to our boy Din's.
It better not be Din's. We're gonna go with an artifact from the Night of a Thousand Tears.
Well,
No?
has the Night of a Thousand
I don't know.
Tears
You tell
happened
me.
yet?
You're so much better at some
I
of
don't
this.
think the Night of a Thousand Tears has happened yet.
Okay. So just a Mandalorian armor.
And so
That's still
and we
pretty
know
dope.
Din's armor gets made, the all chrome armor gets made in what ABY. So not Din's armor, but looking very much like this to me seems more like an ancient Mandalorian armor considering this much of the chest, the stomach piece there. That would be my thought. What is this right here?
Oh, Dan, we have a Calicori.
Which is
All of these?
so a Calicori was essentially an heirloom made by family Twi'leks families. Every generation, each member of the family would put these pieces that you see hanging from here. Someone in that family would add a new piece, and then they would pass the heirloom down to their children. Their children would add to it, pass it down, so on and so forth, which is dope. That's something that we see in Rebels.
Yep. To showcase your family tree.
You know what this makes me think of?
What?
Pouring out for our boy Canon.
Huh?
Hera putting a piece of I can't remember what it was exactly to commemorate Canon in her Calicori, which was so dope.
My gosh, you're gonna make me cry.
I know.
Just thinking about it.
I know. And where is it? Hold on. Hold on. I know I have it here somewhere. Did I delete this photo? No. I hope I didn't delete it. Not save the photo. So let's go back to this guy for a second. I could have sworn I took a screenshot of it. I must not have. But at one point we see
Oh, because it was with Kalari or
Leia.
Yep.
Leia is showing
Driver.
Mon Mothma's driver. She's showing him some stuff basically to get his attention away from their conversation so that Luthen can take Mon Mothma into the back and they could have the real discussion that they're there for. And you see these stones. Oh man, I'm so pissed at myself. I know I took the screenshot. I just must not have saved it. There is these stone tablets that look exactly like this that she's showing him. It may not have been those pieces exactly that she was showing him, but right where she's standing, you see these stone pieces.
Broken pieces. I think one piece had two of the hands. The other one had just one of them. But there was this formation of hand symbol gestures.
This is from season 4 of Rebels. This is taken from a Jedi temple on the planet Lothal. And essentially, this here is kind of like a lock, so to speak.
Lock code?
Oh, yeah. That once a Force user is able to put in the right sequence, was able to unlock the world between worlds, which is this crazy like Force dimension that allows you to go into the past, the future. Like, yeah. I didn't catch it in my first watch through. As I was going through this for a second time, I literally was like, holy crap. I know exactly what that is. And that is so dope, which goes back to lending credence to that. Why the hell would Luthen have this?
Yeah, he's got some really wild high-priced items. Or I'm assuming they're high-priced.
I was looking for it, and I'm wondering if it's not going to be in the series. There were screenshots taken from the trailer, or I think it was from the trailer, but basically screenshots started surfacing before the show appeared of Plo Koon's mask, that Luthen had Plo Koon's mask that we see him wear, which again is why would this dude have Plo Koon's mask?
Great question. I mean, there was a lot of items in
just so much. And the one that I caught immediately, the moment we were in this shop, this antiquities den, and I could see it, I was literally yelling at the TV, "Oh my God, Star Killer!" This armor here is Sith armor that we see that people could use that played the game Force Unleashed. At one point, Galen Merrick, aka Star Killer, I believe he has, I'm trying to remember, has a vision where he's wearing this like Sith stalker armor worn by Sith. And then I think if you beat the game, I'm trying to remember, if you beat the game as a Darksider, you could then play the game in that outfit.
Oh, that's
Dude,
cool.
I've seen like some sick cosplay outfits that people have put together of that armor, and it's dope. And like in the game, there's like 6 different lightsabers that hang from the belt. One of them I think is like Galen Merrick's like Master's Star lightsaber, like just so cool. But yeah, the moment I saw that, I was just like, hell freaking yeah, this is so sick. So I doesn't necessarily make Star Killer Galen Merrick canon, but that Sith armor now is canon, and it's dope. Which again, why the hell would Luthen have this? Which I had mentioned to you earlier, because this is his cover, his front, right? So that the Empire stays off his back. I have to imagine a set of Sith armor would be the Empire or Sidious or Vader would discover this very, very quick. I wonder if this is not actually Sith armor, if it's just sort of like antiquity armor, and they're not going to really, in the show, whether it's the visual dictionary, they're not going to mention it being Sith. But for us nerds, this was such a cool freaking moment.
I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of really wild stuff in this showroom.
How about we've been spending, I don't know, 10 minutes talking about that. We haven't even mentioned freaking Mon Mothma this entire time. Which I said to you before, like, what a great job. She's looking awesome in the series. And I love, again, the dialogue between Mon Mothma and Luthen here. They're clearly, she's not here to talk about a present for her husband for the upcoming celebration. What was it? Day of Days, the Chandrilan tradition, which I don't know if that's a thing, the Day of Days. That's something I'm not familiar with. That's her cover story to come here. Here's another shot of the armor that just looks so freaking sick, so dope. So sick. They finally get Mon Mothma and Luthen finally get to their conversation, the real conversation that they need to have. And I love this moment. And I mentioned it to you earlier, how Luthen is in character, and you see the camera is focused on the left shoulder of Mon Mothma, and then the camera slowly moves from the left side of the screen, passing across Mon Mothma's shoulders to now where the camera angle is behind her right shoulder, and Luthen gets right out of character into, have you got the money? Because we learn that Mon Mothma is the one funding Luthen, and she's explaining to him that, hey, it's getting harder for me to get money. The Empire has eyes on me constantly. I can't just get money willy-nilly. It's difficult for me.
Yeah, and I know she did mention that, or I think Luthen mentioned like, oh, your driver's changed again. And she's like, yeah, I go to the bank and there's a new person every time. Like, they are
shady.
She just constantly feels under the eye right now.
Day juice. He has a Sith and Jedi holocron. Danielle had mentioned that to me. I did not catch that. So I'm going to have to go back and check the scene. I did not see the Sith and Jedi holocron, which would be so dope. But again, would just be like, goes back to, this dude's got a Jedi and a Sith holocron. How would the Empire not know about it?
I feel like that's really, you're putting your like flasher, here's a beacon to my shop to come to bother me.
But I will say, for that aside, the idea of having a Jedi and a Sith holocron in his gallery is just dope.
It really is. And I saw somebody screenshot, but again, I didn't see it in the scene either when it went by. So I definitely got to go put my eagle eyes on when I watch it a second time after this.
But yeah, I mean, this like what, 5 minutes of this episode was like, oh my God, this is absolutely spectacular. And again, completely contradicts what I said last week. Like, oh, I love that this show is not, it's captivating me by its dialogue and the story and the drama, and it's not hooking me because of like Easter eggs and cameos. But this week we're still getting that like captivating drama now, coupled with these baller Easter eggs. I'm like, oh my God, this is so much fun and so freaking spectacular.
And I feel like the Easter eggs were just a little bit deeper than we're used to.
There were some deep cuts, man.
So yeah, give me more. This is great, but it's not. The Easter eggs are awesome, but it's not going to make or break the show for me. I'm hook, line, and sinker.
But again, think about some of these Easter eggs. The Rakatan Empire and Rakata is now canon again. He's got like a Kyber crystal that's infused with some Kuwati signet, freaking Star Killer armor, all the Kalikori, just so many ridiculous things in this episode that were dope. And then we go to her ballin' ass apartment on Coruscant, and you had mentioned this to me, like, I don't think I really caught it as well as you did. And then after you said it to me, I'm like, oh, 100%. Her husband is, or partner, whatever he's supposed to be. I think she says it's her husband. Seems kind of shady to me.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, I should say you pointed it out, and now I'm like, oh yeah, Danny, I'm going to steal that.
He is shady. Although I loved his little, I don't know, his ponytail is.
He's like Camino looking outfit.
Yeah, it's very Japanese inspired. Even having like, I feel like the blossom tree or like the white Japanese blossom.
That's a great point. But just look how beautiful her apartment is. So ornate, the white and gold.
Yeah, Mon Mothma is.
She's rolling in it. Yeah, and just even like you look at the cutlery, it's like gold, and the bowls are tipped with gold or gilded. Gilded is a completely different thing. But yeah, just complete baller status. And Star Wars Explained had mentioned he thought that this was just a dude loving life as a senator's husband, basically just living the life. I think it could be more than that. I think that this dude might be someone who could potentially be like an Imperial sympathizer, especially because we learned some of his homies are
shady.
Some big individuals within the Empire.
Yeah.
We learn that motherfucking Sly Moore, who you see right here, this bald homie, this bald asshole.
God, how many times are you going to swear in this? You're going to get flagged, bro.
She is going to be joining their dinner party. And they also mention Ars Dangor, who is an individual that sits on the Emperor's ruling council, which, going back to Game of Thrones, that's like the council that you see in the Game of Thrones, advising the Emperor on matters of the Empire. Sly Moore is also one of the few individuals that knows the Emperor is a Sith Lord. She's also Force sensitive. And we've seen a good amount of her recently in the Greg Pak's Darth Vader comic, which this is an image from, in Crimson. Was she in Crimson Dawn? I think she was in the first issue of not Crimson Dawn, Crimson Reign. But yeah, I love that you hear Sly Moore mention Ars Dangor, and you also hear the Vizier. She's a member of the Vizier's, I think, party or something like that. I can't remember the exact term that Mon Mothma used, but essentially the Vizier is Grand Vizier Mas Amedda, who's this boy right here in the middle, this dude in the middle. And again, he was another person that knew the Emperor was a Sith Lord, which is dope. So that's the company that Mon Mothma's husband keeps. And he referred to them as fun.
Yeah.
People that are basically are friends with a Sith Lord. They know this dude is a Sith. That's
war criminals.
War criminals. That's the people that Mon Mothma's husband refers to as fun. That to me is not a guy that's like gallivanting on Coruscant as a senator's wife. That to me is a dude who's an Imperial sympathizer. And this dude could be someone I could see as potentially ratting on Mon Mothma or giving information to Sly Moore and to Ars Dangor.
Yeah, I think I feel like a sympathizer is like the most surface level of what he might be into. I feel like it's going to go a lot deeper than that.
Yeah, this dude is shady. I don't trust him as far as I can throw him. I feel like this could be a reveal towards the end of the season that we might find out there's a reason why he's keeping the company of Sly Moore, Ars Dangor, Masamida. He seems very shady to me.
1000%. I don't trust him. I don't know. I don't have much else to say on him other than I am looking forward to seeing what kind of shady things he gets himself into.
One last thing I just want to go back to.
We're really going back.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking I'm really glad we didn't get to see the heist in this episode. I want the heist that we're going to see. I want that to be the focal point of one episode because I think that's going to be really dope. I'm also super excited to see the event that they're talking about that they're going to use as cover, the Eye, this like natural event that occurs on Aldhani every 3 years that Nemec explained to it. It's something like basically particles in space wind up going into the atmosphere, and it makes this like beautiful event that you can only witness every 3 years. And I'm excited to see what that's going to look like. It's probably going to look dope.
Yeah, I'm excited. Although I was just thinking about what else has been called the Eye in Star Wars.
Oh, the Eye, freaking Marchion Ro. We've gotten the Eye in something else recently, and I can't remember. But yeah.
I don't know. I was just kind of thinking, is there a connection? Probably not. But, I'm just trying to connect those dots. Also, I'm starting to space out.
Well, I think that's a good spot to leave it at. I think this was my favorite episode so far. I love again, I'm going to use the same term I used earlier, the captivating drama. I mentioned this to you. This show, if you take Star Wars out of the equation, and this is just modern day, this could be a show on HBO Max or AMC that is very drama-driven, dialogue-driven, and could be viewed as like, this is great television. I think this is the best Star Wars television we've gotten.
Yeah, this has been great. I'm really stoked about it, and getting more of a taste of that thriller, espionage, spy aspect of it was awesome. And I mean, who doesn't love a good heist episode? I'm excited for that too.
Absolutely. And before we finish off, we'll end it on another image of the Sith armor because it's just so freaking cool.
It's pretty dope.
With that said, my friends, let us know down in the comments what you thought of the episode and how you felt this episode was, whether you liked it, whether you disliked it. I think this was a really strong episode. I'm very excited to see where the story will go from here. I'm Tony Gilroy, everyone involved with creating this series so far, like, take my money. They've got me hook, line, and sinker at this point. I think this Mandalorian is great. I love Mandalorian, but the Mandalorian dialogue and drama pales in comparison to the dialogue that we're getting in this series, I think, so far.
Hard to have a lot of dialogue when your main character is a man of few words.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to bring him in cold, or you're going to bring him.
Obviously, I'm not saying Mandalorian is not as good as Andor, but I'm loving Andor so far, and I think this has potential to be possibly the best Star Wars television we've gotten so far, or right up there with Mando. It's been that good for me so far. So I think it's a good spot to leave it off at. We will be breaking down and discussing episode 5 next week, depending upon our crazy schedules, work, life, probably sometime between like 6, hopefully not 9 like we did last week, sometime between 6 and 8. but we're going to be continuing to break down these episodes, dive into what nerdy stuff we catch, and share our thoughts on these episodes. And again, let us know in the comments what you thought. I also am going to be doing live streams of me probably getting my buns kicked in Halo. So come bother me when I'm streaming streaming some Halo. Typically, I think that's going to be like a Friday or a Sunday stream. We could talk about whatever Star Wars stuff. That would be fun. If you have not, like this video, you jabronis, subscribe to the channel. Show us some love, because it's always dope when you guys comment on the videos. Let me know your thoughts on stuff. I love having dialogue and conversations with you folks. With that said, may the Force be with you, and stay